Hello there, guitar lovers. My name is Ollie Royer, and today it's a pretty damn exciting day because, as you can see, I'm holding none other than the ESP LTD Alexi Ripped model. This was one of the final models to be designed by Alexi, and of course, it's been a little while since his tragic death, and the world is still, of course, grieving the loss. But of course, we're here to celebrate the legacy that the man himself has left behind. So it was part of two design models that were released: the Hexed and the Ripped. The Ripped being notable because it's the first Alexi model to be released with two pickups. So instead of just the one humbucker in the bridge, we also have a stacked single coil. We'll go into all the specs very, very shortly. Yeah, let me just say, for an LTD model, this thing absolutely rocks. In this video, we're going to talk about, the spec differences between this guitar, the E-II and the ESP version. Why would you spend more money? Is it worth spending more money? These are the things we're going to answer. So yeah, before we dive in, if you enjoy the video, if you're enjoying it so far, feel free to hit the like button or even subscribe. Just a click of a button, but it does actually help. So yeah, let's go. On this guitar, we have an alder body. Alder, of course, is a timber which has been used time and time again for guitar bodies. Not too heavy, super resonant, especially on a guitar which has so much wood involved. Makes it super resonant, especially for down tuning as well. So yes, alder body. In terms of the controls, they're very simple. It's just a straight up metal guitar, no need for any frills or anything. So we have a master volume control, and we have a three-way pickup toggle selector. Now the difference between the LTD and then the E-II and ESP models is that there's actually a toggle switch for a boost, which allows for, I believe it is up to 18 decibels. Which is actually controllable. I believe there's probably a trim pot inside the controls, so that's a cool feature, but it's not something that's included on the LTD model. Otherwise, the controls are the same. In terms of the bridge, this guitar, as you can see, it's chrome, and it's a Floyd Rose 1000 double locking tremolo. What 1000 means is, no, it's not the Floyd Rose original German steel. It's don't think like a licensed Floyd Rose or like an ESP Floyd Rose. It is still a Floyd Rose bridge. I believe it's just manufactured not in Germany, basically. No, they don't hold tuning as well as an as a Floyd Rose original bridge, but it's still pretty damn good, and that's something you can easily upgrade to if you so desire. In terms of the pickups on this guitar, we have, I believe it's an EMG FZ H2, which is a, correct me if I'm wrong or I'll double check, a ceramic humbucker. And in the neck, again, this is unique for an Alexi model. The Ripped model is the first model to have it, is a stacked single coil. I believe this is the S2. So a bit of versatility in this guitar, which is very cool. There are a lot of people that say, oh, it'd look way better without the neck pickup, but the good news is you can get literally any other Alexi model and you're going to be able to have just that humbucker in the bridge. I'm personally a fan of having the versatility, which I'll show you guys some tones of it very shortly. And to be honest, that stacked single coil sounds great. So if you like it, you're in luck. So yes, that is the electronics and controls. You can of course see that we have this beautiful finish here. It's a purple fade with ripped pinstripes. A little bit more sort of dangerous looking, I suppose, when compared to the Hex model, which is a bit cleaner. Of course, being satin, as you can see, it picks up finger oils and anything like that in an instant. So look, that's just something you deal with when you have a satin guitar. A little bit frustrating, but hey, that's the name of the game. On the back, as you can see, pretty standard. One thing I do like that ESP do, we have access to the screws to adjust the tension of the Floyd Rose bridge and the springs in there. Very good feature, stops you from having to take the plate on and off. Usually on my guitars that don't have that, I just keep the back plate off because I can't be bothered. So yes, that's cool. In terms of the strap buttons on this guitar, These are just standard strap buttons. I believe on the E-II and the ESP you will get, I believe ESP are using their own locking strap buttons now. Previously they would use Shayla or Dunlop or one of those brands, but now they're using their own. So that's that. I believe that's all of the specs for the body. Before we flip over, this guitar has a 3-piece maple through neck design. What that means is that the neck extends all the way from the top all the way down through the guitar. So yes, 3-piece maple, and then as I said, we have alder body wings. What this through neck design means, basically super secure here. Allows for great access to the upper frets because of this heel here. You can see we've got great access here. And yeah, super resonant. Again, more contact between all the wood, and that's what we want, even acoustically. Which is great to have a guitar resonate like that, obviously, because we've got a Floyd Rose, we've got a pretty hefty amount of wood taken out of it, so whatever we can do to increase that sustain is going to go down a treat. Okay, let's move properly onto the neck. Now, the fretboard on the LTD model is Mikasa ebony. When compared to the ebony that you'll see on the E-II and ESP models, it's not that super black, highly polished ebony you'll see on those guitars. But I still think it looks great on this guitar. It's nice and uniform. No, it's not that black, but I'm also not getting any black polish in my fingers by playing it, which is always nice. The fretboard radius is something that does actually differ, which was an interesting point that I noticed. On the LTD, it's a 12-inch radius, or 350 mil. So similar to, Gibson-style guitars. But when you get to the E-II and the ESP versions, it's actually 305 millimeter, which is something like 13.7 inches, so just under 14, a little bit flatter. That's not better or worse, it's just different. So yes. Fretboard. Now let's move on to the frets. 24 extra jumbo frets, super comfortable against that fairly flat radius. And nice and shiny as well. I don't believe that they're stainless steel, but they look great regardless. We've got our sawtooth inlays, and as you can see here, between frets 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, the frets are scalloped, which is an interesting thing. It sort of throws you off a little bit, but as Yngwie says, it allows you to really grab the note by the balls. So for those of you partial to all of your super fast lead work, it is an Alexi guitar that allows you to really dig in when you're doing, vibrato and all that. So yes, one last point. The fretboard has white binding with luminlay side dots. For those of you unaware, that basically means that on a dark stage, it's going to glow in the dark, or if your power goes out when you're shredding at home, you're going to be able to see what you're doing, which is an obvious advantage for many reasons. So that's a plus. The neck itself is a satin finish. Again, super comfortable, pretty standard, very popular for, guitars of this make. And the profile itself is a classic, super comfortable, just... I wouldn't say it's quite as flat as a normal ESP neck profile. Perhaps it's designed more towards Alexi's preferences. To be honest, it feels more like a traditional Jackson neck, which makes sense, considering that's where he came from initially, I suppose. So yes, that's the neck. Moving on to the headstock, of course we have the LTD logo with Alexi's signature and the ripped truss rod cover. We have Grover non-locking tuners on this guitar. Again, if we go from E-II to ESP, that turns into Goto locking tuners, just to add a bit more stability. To be honest though, if I'm completely honest, locking tuners on a double locking Floyd Rose guitar doesn't really make a huge amount of sense because, we already have plenty of tuning stability. If anything, it's just going to make restringing a little bit quicker. So that's a benefit there. I'm pretty sure that's all the specs. The guitar itself comes in a hard case, which is great that the LTD models are. LTD you know, higher models, signature models have been coming in hard cases for the past couple of years. So whether it's, you know, a James Hetfield Iron Cross Snakebite, a Kirk Hammett KH602, and this guitar included comes in an ESP form fit hard case, which is great. The E-II and ESP versions do, but they also will include a certificate of authenticity, just to make it, you know, a bit more official, I suppose. But to be honest, this is a great guitar for the money. The main thing that you might want to upgrade would be the bridge to a Floyd or his original, but for the money, you know, if you can't quite justify spending more on the E-II or the ESP version, this is a great starting point, and you don't even need to upgrade it, to be perfectly honest. It's just a great guitar from the get-go. So yeah, that's enough talking. Let's listen to what the thing sounds like. At the start of the video, I was playing in the bridge position. We're going to start off there again. At the moment, I'm running into my EVH 5150 EL34, basically a Marshall 50 head, into a Boss WAZA tube amp expander, which is just an amp attenuator with a 412 cab sim. And I'm pushing it with the Rodenberg amplification TB Drive Shakedown Special, signature overdrive pedal from Tyler Bryant, and it's basically just two TS9/TS808 style pedals. So yeah, let's start off gain, then we'll go over to some cleans and see what we're working with. See you soon. So, look, we're probably not going to do a lot of clean playing on this guitar, but for what it's worth, especially with that stacked single coil in the neck position, I think it's a great sounding clean tone. Of course, it is a passive pickup system, so we don't have that sort of typical EMG active sound, which a lot of people don't favor for clean sounds, but very, very usable. But let's just talk about how easy it is to pull pinch harmonics out of this thing. Heaps of fun. So I'm pretty sure that's all the specs on this guitar. It's not a super complicated guitar, it's just built to shred, and it's built to honor the legacy of Alexi himself. So to answer the question, do I think it's worth jumping from the LTD to the E-II? If you can afford it, yes, it's always going to be worth going for E-II. Not just, for the black ebony fretboard, not just for the Floyd Rose original, but purely because of the design precision that goes from the Korean-made LTD, which is still good, to Japanese. Japanese is amongst some of the finest craftsmanship available today, and I also like to think that probably the alder they're going to use for the body is going to be selected. It's more finely selected, I suppose, so a little bit more resonant, maybe a little bit lighter as well. And I should mention one last thing. It looks like the E-II version is a little bit more vibrant in terms of the purple, whereas the LTD and the ESP version look more similar. So that's one probably more minor aspect of it, but if you're looking to make your decision on, which one's going to be the right one for you, hopefully this video helped, but I'm happy to say that this guitar itself rules. And yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks so much for hanging out today, guys. My name is Ollie, and I'll see you next time.